And it's Arcanine, Arcanine PC. We're by far the greatest team that the world has ever seen. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? You can call me Kai Guy. Welcome back to another video here on the channel. If this is your first time here, then welcome to you. I am your coach of the Arcanine Pokemon Club. That is Arcanine PC for short, here in the NBA, and we are here for our week number 7 battle in said NBA, as we are going to be taking on Mudkip and their team. We'll go ahead and break down the Pokemon I'm bringing, why I'm bringing them, their movesets, all that cool stuff. We will also break down Mudkip's team, see what they could potentially bring as well, so that way you guys kind of have an idea of the matchups that could be going on here. As of right now, our opponent is currently 1-5, while we are 4-2. After picking up a loss last week to Mr. Lethal Blue, who is the top team in the league, figure it might be a good time to try and get a bounce back W so we can keep ourselves firmly in the top 3 or 4 in playoff contention. That is kind of the goal at the moment. So that is kind of going to be the main thing we want to try and do today, is pick up a nice strong W, keep that win column alive, and kind of finish out the year strong so we can get a top seed for playoffs. So hopefully we're able to do that. So let's go ahead and start with Mr. Mudkip's team. Looking at their team, they got a Mega Gallade, Tornadus Therian form, Raging Bolt, Alomomola, Ogerpon Cornerstone form, Grimmsnarl, Bronzong, Cyclizar, Runerigus, Colossal, and Golbat. So a pretty solid team, pretty solid offensive threats in the Torn T, the Mega Gallade, and the Raging Bolt, as well as the Ogerpon for that matter. Dual screen setup in the Grimmsnarl is never a fun thing. Surprisingly bulky couple of Pokemon with the Runerigus, the Golbat, and the Alomomola as well. Is kind of somewhat lacking a Steel type, so I guess that's pretty good for us. But for the most part, he's got a pretty solid team with, or actually no, he's got Bronzong, but that's like only a quote-unquote Steel type because it's got a really bad Steel Psychic typing. But it's still a Steel type, so excuse me, I'm just overlooking it. But yeah, he's got a pretty solid team, a pretty solid defensive backbone with a couple of offensive hard hitters with the Torn T, the Mega Gallade, and the Raging Bolt. So yeah, it should be a pretty interesting matchup. I am terrified of that Mega Gallade, so hopefully he doesn't bring it. Let's go ahead and break down the Pokemon I'm bringing, what I put on them, all their movesets, all that cool stuff. So, first up we got Catherine, our Mega Manectric, holding the Manectite with the moves Volt Switch, Thunderbolt, Flamethrower, and Toxic. I'm still running this moveset. It is still very good. This is kind of all I need on this thing. Mega Manectric actually goes stupid in this game, like just completely stupid. But with a combination of the dual stab, or not dual stab, with a combination of electric and fire coverage, it kind of hits everything for at least neutral damage. The only thing I don't think we would is the Cyclizar, but that's what I have Volt Switch for, is to pivot around it. Everything else gets hit for at least neutral damage or super effective damage as well. So we will gladly take that. Yeah, this thing outspeeds also his entire team, which is why we don't have max speed on it this week. I didn't need max speed to outspeed his entire squad, barring any choice scarfers. So it seemed like a no-brainer just to basically control the speed tiers this week. So that's why we've got Mega Manectric here. Volt Switch, like I said, for momentum, which is very, very nice. Keeping up that momentum versus something like the... oh, Raging Bolt, too. I forgot about Raging Bolt. But I can just Toxic that thing, so it's fine. Same thing with like Thunderbolt, does good damage across his team as well. The only thing that wants to really switch into would be like the Raging Bolt or the Runerigus. And they don't, either of them really want to be toxic, so I can kind of predict that switching depending on what he brings. Flamethrower is just there for doing good damage to something like the Bronzong or something like the Ogerpon. It's kind of just a filler move, honestly. And Toxic is there for his more bulky Pokemon. Something like the Bronzong after it Terras, something like the Alomomola, something like the Raging Bolt, something like the Runerigus, just to wear them down slowly and slowly and slowly. My main goal this week is to keep Manectric healthy because it kind of just clicks buttons and wins if it gets going. So if we can get everything chipped down, Manectric kind of just clicks buttons and wins. But we do have backups in case something goes wrong. We are rocking 144 speed with a Timid Nature on this thing, and then 252 special attack and 112 speed. Like I said, upon Mega Evolution, will be the fastest thing in the game. The only thing that would outspeed us would be a Choice Scarfer. So because of that, Manectric is kind of going to be just annoying utility, especially if we can get hazards up and just freely Volt Switch around and be annoying. That is like the ideal world. So hopefully we're able to make that come true, especially because we got Toxic on here to whittle down as a Pokemon. So yeah, that is Catherine this week. Next up, we got Linhardt, our Slowking, holding the leftovers with Regenerator. And the moves Chilly Reception, Slack Off, Toxic, and Scald. Rocking the Fizz Def Slowking this week. Chilly Reception is mainly there for us to just kind of get out versus something that might want to come in against us. Something like the Raging Bolt, something like the Grimmsnarl. Chilly Reception is just mainly there to get Slowking out from the switch-ins that want to go in on it. So we can kind of just freely swap out, get our snow up, get our little bit of regenerator healing as well, and be good to go to bring in something else that can handle the threats. We've also got Slack Off here as well to heal ourselves if things get a little bit dicey. Toxic to spread a little bit of status around his team. He doesn't really have a way of, unless Alomomola gets aromatherapy and I just don't know it, he doesn't really have a Pokemon that can get rid of status, which is pretty good. Granted, neither do I, so equally status is good into my team as well, but it's fine. So we can get a little bit of poison off on that. And then Scald also has a 30% chance to burn. It's our water move of choice this week, just to get a little bit of a burn off on something that might be switching in, like the Grimmsnarl or something like the Raging Bolt. Just a little bit of chips. For the most part, if he brought Raging Bolt, I would never click Scald. I'd be clicking Chili every single time. But it's an option if we need to hit something like the Ogerpon as well that could switch in, or the Grimmsnarl. Basically physical threats that we would not mind being burned. So that is the play on this. Max HP, max defense on this guy. Basically here for Mega Gallade. But Mega Gallade does, I believe, get Grass and Dark type moves, so we'll see how this ends up going. I guess it also could be good for a physically offensive Torn T, but usually they're mixed, so I don't know how well that'll go. Yeah, it'll be interesting. I think I just needed like a good physically defensive backbone this week, and I think Linhardt is it. And another Pokemon that you will see later. But at the same time, like, I don't know. I feel like Linhardt looks good just for getting up the snow for Rhea later, as you'll see from the team preview right there. But we'll see. I'm not too confident in this set, but we'll see if it can put in the work. And we're rocking a Bold Nature to up our physical defense even further there. Next up, we got Frederick, our Tinglu, holding the leftovers with Vessel of Ruin. Stealth Rock, Whirlwind, Ruination, Earthquake. Max HP, max Spadef on this guy with a Careful Nature. So this thing is mainly here to eat up hits from his specially offensive threats. Something like the Raging Bolt, something like the Tornadus T with like a Bleak Wind Storm, something like the, that's about it, I guess? But basically we shut down all of his specially offensive Pokemon, which we will take, especially because we can get rocks up in their face, Whirlwind out the Pokemon they want to switch into, or get a free 50% off with Ruination. Or if something like the Runerigus wants to switch in, I can catch it off guard with a little bit of an EQ. Do some good damage to it, all that cool stuff. So yeah, this Pokemon's kind of here just to be especially defensive threat. Just eat up hits for days, get things phased out, get a little bit of Hazard Chip going, and a little bit of extra chip with Ruination Earthquake. It's kind of the plan for Frederick this week. Next up is Lucina, our team captain, the Sneasler, holding the Choice Band with Poison Touch, U-Turn, Poison Jab, with the Poison Touch ability, excuse me, with U-Turn, Poison Jab, Close Combat, Switcheroo. So again, we outspeed the majority of his team here. Like, let me look. I'm pretty sure, because Sneasler's base 120. I think the only thing that would outspeed us would be the Cyclizar and the Torn T. So what we did was we speed crept for the Mega Gallade, which is 110, and the Ogerpon, which is also 110. So this puts me at enough speed to outspeed both the Ogerpon as well as the Gallade. There's no universe where I could outspeed the Tornadus or the Cyclizar unless I was Choice Scarf, but I wanted to run a little bit extra power this week, so we decided to speed creep 110 this week just to make sure we can even still outspeed those Pokemon no matter what, while also still getting ourselves a tiny little bit more bulk that we can work with. So that's why we're rocking the 176 speed with a Jolly Nature this week. Max attack as well, 252 goes, plus Choice Band allows Sneasler to hit stupid hard. A little bit of HP, investment 80 to be exact, not a ton, but it adds up, so maybe a little bit extra bulk there to help us out. U-Turn's mainly there for momentum, kind of swap around on the Pokemon that might want to switch into Sneasler, something like the Alomomola, we can get a Poison Touch off on that, something like the Torn T. If it switches in, I can U-turn on it as it switches in and maybe get a poison off on that. Maybe the Runerigus. Basically just trying to get a little bit of poison going. Poison Jab also hits something like the Raging Bolt really hard. Something like the Grimmsnarl as well, which is pretty nice. Close Combat is mainly there for something like the Colossal, the Cyclizar. Hitting the Raging Bolt would be really nice. And Switcheroo is kind of just there to get rid of the Choice Band if we think it's outlived its usefulness. Something like the Alomomola that might want to switch in. Something like the Runerigus that might want to switch in. Get that little bit of annoyance going for the opponent, so now they have to deal with our Choice Band that has been thrown upon them that they did not want. Or something maybe like I could trick the Golbat an EV, take the Golbat's Eviolite and give it a Choice Band instead. So we got options there. We got a couple of different options. But yeah, this Pokemon's kind of just here to just break the holes into the team. So hopefully he's able to do so. Going on to our other defensive backbone this week, we got Saber the Scizor holding the Rocky Helmet with Technician, and the moves Defog, Roost, Bullet Punch, and U-Turn. We're also rocking the Terra Steel this week, just to become a real Steel type. A real Steel type! Ho ho! Because we actually desperately need one for a lot of this team. It's a little bit of a yikeski with the Mega Gallade, having both of our Pokemon be weak to that are physically defensive, be weak to its dual stab. But if it goes for something like close combat, Manectric just comes in and bodies it with Thunderbolt anyway, so we're chilling. And then the Rocky Helmet chip will also make it take even more damage, so that's very helpful. Same thing with like the Ogerpon. This thing kind of shuts down Ogerpon pretty well, as well as the Runerigus pretty well as well, so it can't even Toxic me or anything. So it's kind of here to shut down a lot of his physical threats that aren't Mega Gallade, but if it does have to take a hit from Mega Gallade, we'll get the Rocky Helmet chip off, he'll lower his defenses, and then Mega Manectric revenge kills 100% of the time. Defog is there to get rid of opposing hazards, like something like the Ogerpon. I think it gets spikes, so that we can deal with that. Same with the Bronzong, which does get Stealth Rocks, and I believe Runerigus and Colossal both do as well, so it's got a couple of options for hazard setting. Roost is there to heal ourselves up. Bullet Punch there for general damage. Terra Steel Bullet Punch still does really good damage, even though we have almost no attack investment. Something like the Grimmsnarl, the Ogerpon before it Terras, and even something like the Runerigus don't really want to take those, or the Torn T for that matter. Like, a lot of this team does not really want to take a Terra Steel Bullet Punch, even though we have no attack investment. And then U-Turn is kind of here for pivoting, getting momentum up. Because if he switches Ow in something like the Gallade, I can just freely bring, I can freely click U-Turn on it as it switches in, keep up momentum, and bring in something like Catherine to get a free Volt Switch off. Just making sure I keep up that momentum between like my 4 Pokemon that have it this week with Catherine, Linhardt, Lucina, and Saber. Trying to keep up that momentum, keep the opponent on the back foot, make them have to think about what I'm going to do next versus being able to attack what's in front of them. So that's kind of the plan here with max HP, max defense, Impish Nature to boost that defense just a little bit farther. That is kind of the plan. Yeah, that is Saber this week. And last but not least, why are you not shiny? It is Rhea, our, I almost forgot your name, Kyurem, holding the Assault Vest this week with the Pressure ability and the moves Freeze Dry, Ice Beam, Draco Meteor, and Endeavor. So I'm not running Earth Power this week because I don't think I need it. Like, yeah, it's nice for Raging Bolt, but Draco hits harder. Like, yeah, it's nice for Bronzong, I guess, but if it runs Levitate, I'm wasting a move slot. Yeah, it's, I guess, nice for something like Colossal, but realistically, do I need to worry about Colossal? I could just drop a Draco and it goes bye-bye. Like, I don't have to worry about that thing that much. So I didn't really need Earth Power this week, so I thought, what if we get a little bit sneaky out here and run a little bit of Endeavor? So if he takes me down nice and low, I can get an Endeavor off on one of his bulky Pokemon, like something like a Runerigus, or like an Alomomola, or even like a Raging Bolt if it's switching in to like deal with me. I can just get an Endeavor off on it, get its HP down a little bit further, and kind of be chilling. So that way my other Pokemon in the back can kind of revenge it a little bit easier. So that is the idea behind Endeavor. Freeze Dry is mainly just here for Alomomola, like that's truthfully it. Ice Beam does everything else. Torn T, Raging Bolt if I don't want to lower my special attack. Cyclizar, Runerigus, Golbat. This Kyurem kind of goes stupid this week, so let's see if we can make that work. And then Draco, like I said, mainly there for the Raging Bolt upon switching because we will outspeed it and we resist the Thunderclap, so we are chilling. And then especially if we can get the Snow up for Rhea this week, she'll be able to be a little bit bulkier, just kind of eat up hits here and there. And the Assault Vest will boost our special defense by 1.5 times. So essentially, instead of having 230 special defense, we have 345. So that's pretty nice. And then coupled with our 441 HP, thanks to our 200 EVs that are in it, we're gonna get pretty bulky Kyurem on special side. So hopefully we're able to take advantage of that, get some big damage off. We're not running any speed this week, so we might end up being a little bit slower than a lot of his team. But honestly, I didn't really need to be faster than a lot of his team. Like, he goes from, like, base 90 at Golbat, and his next speed tier is 110. So that's a gap of 20. Whereas my speed tier at 95 still lets me outspeed all of his, like, slower threats and everything. So I think we're kind of just chilling. Like, I didn't really need the speed on Kyurem this week, so we'll take it. But yeah, Kyurem is kind of here to be a modest special attacker, hit stupid hard, and just kind of whittle down opponents with Endeavor if it gets to that point. So that's the team we're going to be bringing this week. Oh my god, English. That is going to be the team we are bringing this week against Mudkip. Let me know what you guys think of the team in the comments. What do you like that I brought? What do you think I could have done differently? Make sure to let me all know that down in the comments below. I think it is about time to head into the battle. So, in that case, I will see you guys in just a moment. Alright, we are back. We got all linked up with Mudkip, had the battle, and we are here for a little post-com analysis with Kagai. Y'all know how it is. So let's go ahead and take a look at the team they are bringing. So we see they've got Alomomola, Mega Gallade, the Orgrapon Cornerstone, the Tornadus Therian, the Bronzong, and the Rune Regis. Yeah, I'm a little surprised there's no Raging Bolts this week. But I guess Ting Lu does kind of shut that thing down a little bit. Like, it still hits like a truck, don't get me wrong. But Max Spadef Ting Lu shuts it down a decent amount, so that's pretty nice. It's kind of a pretty good counter because it can't Thunderclap me. All it can do is Draco me, and then that lowered the special attack stat as well. So that's pretty nice for us. Looking at the team, MANECTRIC outspeeds the entire team, like I said, barring any choice Scarfers, so that looks really good for us. Sneasler as well outspeeds everything that is not the Tornadus, which is pretty cool. So yeah, we got a decent matchup here. Gallade still terrifies the ever-living daylights out of me, but I think the play is simple: force it down with Scizor, thanks to Rocky Helmet, and then just let it close combat and lower its defenses, and then we just hit it with MANECTRIC. That's the plan. Speaking of MANECTRIC, I think my most likely play here is to lead with it, just to make sure I'm leading with my fastest team member. And the switch, depending on what he leads with, something like the Alomomola, something like the Gallade to get his Mega off, something like the Tornadus to U-turn out. I'll be able to get some information about what that thing might be running. And the free switch into Rune Regis is obvious, but I do have a Toxic here, so we are chilling there. So he is actually going to lead with the Torn, as I do lead Mega MANECTRIC. So obviously he does not want to switch in right, he does not want to stay in right here. I kind of just body him if he does. So obvious switch into Rune Regis is obvious, right? And I made the mistake last week against Lethal Blue, not clicking turn 1 Toxic as my opponent switched into a ground type. I'm not making that same mistake again. I'm Mega Evolving, I'm clicking Toxic, and if it bites me in the butt, it bites me in the butt, and I might just lose the game immediately. But it's fine, because he's actually going to swap out into the Rune Regis as we get our Mega Evolution off, and do indeed get the Intimidate as well as a Toxic. Thankfully, we don't miss. That is really nice to see. It's crazy, the little things in life. You don't miss at 90%. It's a wonderful feeling. So, we get the Toxic off on this guy. He is now on a timer, taking a little bit of chip damage each turn. I obviously don't want to keep MANECTRIC in here because this thing could have like Earthquake or something because it is a ground type. Switching in here is probably going to be Ting Lu just to be annoying. See what he wants to do here. As he's going to get his rocks up, that's fine by me. He's going to take more Toxic damage as I can freely just trade rocks with him, and he's going to go for the Will-O-Wisp and unfortunately miss. That would really only affect my Earthquakes, and honestly, looking at his team, there's not really much I would want to Earthquake instead of click Ruination against. Like, I'm sure the Bronzong is Levitate here. Like, I don't think it would be Heat-proof. I guess it could be. I guess it could be, because I have Moltres and everything, so I guess it could be. But I think it's more likely Levitate, just to be wary of Kyurem Earth Power, as well as Ting Lu Earthquake and stuff. So I think it's probably more likely to be Levitate here. So we end up trading rocks. He misses his Willow. That's unfortunate for him. But he is taking more and more Toxic damage, and as soon as this thing is gone, MANECTRIC just clicks Volt Switch for free. So that's the scenario that we want. He's going to actually double here into the Alomomola, which we see is Heavy Duty Boots. I do miss my Ruination, so it does make up for him missing the Willow a little bit. Nice little bit of justice for the both of us. We missed as he brings this thing in, goes for Flip Turn, does literally 0 damage, and brings in the Torn Therian form immediately. I get a nice Ruination off on this thing, which does about 49%. If this thing has the Defog, it can very well just go for it this turn. Honestly, I don't really care. Like, I feel like rocks being up for me... How I word this? I feel like rocks being gone for me is better than them being gone for him. Well, no, opposite. I feel like rocks affect his team more than they do mine, if that makes sense. I feel like for the most part, because we've got Regenerator, because we've got a whole lot of leftovers on the team, a lot of pivoting. Then again, I guess pivoting in rocks isn't a fun matchup. So if he wants to defog here, that's fine by me. I'm just probably going to go ahead and either click Ruination or Whirlwind this turn. As we see, he actually U-turns. So he is indeed the Heavy Duty Boots, because he didn't take that chip damage. He's going to U-turn out into another Heavy Duty Bootsmon, the Alomomola. But my play here was to click Whirlwind, and let's bring that Runerigus back out here to take some more toxic damage. That sounds pretty good to me. How's that sound to you? I think that sounds great. So this thing's still taking more and more damage. I can fire off a free Ruination right here just to get a little bit of chippies off, bring him down an extra 35%. Like I said, if this thing is gone, MANECTRIC goes in. And that is my win con, is getting this thing gone so MANECTRIC never can't click free Volt Switch. So he's letting this thing get chipped and chipped and chipped, and is only at 36% left. He does his Will-O-Wisp. Truthfully, I think that's a win for me, because I'm not going to be clicking Earthquake very much this game at all. Like, yeah, I'm on a timer, so that's canceling out my leftovers, but, like, this thing's on a timer too, and this timer is worse than mine. So he is going to cancel my lefties with the Willow, but that is fine, as he's only at 30% left, so he's got one switch-in and 2 turns of Toxic. No, 2 switch-ins and 2 turns of Toxic left, and he's gone. As we see, he is going to swap out back into the Alomomola here, and I'm just going to go ahead and Ruination here, do a solid 50% again, make sure I keep myself a little bit up, as he's going to go for the Wish, try to get that off, as the Bronzong gets brought in here, and that Wish ends up getting stored now. So, I think his play here would probably be to go back out into the Runerigus, just keep that thing healthy, but I think he also sees the opportunity to set up with his Bronzong, and so he goes for Body Press here. As I get a Whirlwind off into the Gallade, which does negate the Wish, which is perfect for me. If we had gotten Runerigus there, that would have been a little bit dicey, but because Gallade swapped in and took Stealth Rock damage, the Wish was not stored. So that's pretty nice. We'll take that. Although I think it wouldn't have been stored either on the Bronzong because of the PP. Because since he used 1 PP for Body Press, I feel like that wouldn't have been stored. I don't know. Somebody would correct me on that in the comments. But he ends up bringing in the Gallade, which, like, uh-oh, the demon is in. I think my play here is just to die. if he gets cute with it and ends up trying to set up on me, which he doesn't, he close combats me into the next dimension, which is a valid play on his part. Yeah, I didn't really have a free switch in there. I could have gone Scizor, but I didn't want Scizor taking immediate damage. But what I do like is that he is now -1 Spadef, and a lot of his Pokemon that deal with MANECTRIC are very, very low. So that is what we like to see. So he close combats himself. He's down to -1 Spadef. MANECTRIC comes in, gets an Intimidate off of it, lowers its attack, but it is inner focus, so it doesn't end up working. Obvious free Volt Switch is obvious, and it does like a solid like 65-70% of this thing. And then afterwards, MANECTRIC again just kind of comes back in on after something takes a hit. So yeah, I just am free to just click Volt Switch here. He brings in the Runerigus here. I Volt Switch. Does not hit it because it is immune being a ground type and everything. He's only at 24% left though, and I was doing some calcing, and Flamethrower kills from this range. So like, I have no reason not to go for that. So I do, and the Runerigus is gone, and Volt Switch is now free for my team. As he brings in the Ogerpon right here. If this thing is Choice Band, it kills me. If it's Choice Scarf, we live. And if it's Choice Scarf, then we can revenge it later. So with something like Scizor. So I think I was debating on if I wanted to Volt Switch out or Hard Switch out in the Scizor here. And I think I end up Volt Switching here. So we see he is not Scarf. So again, we've now seen his entire team's items. Alomomola is Boots. Megalade has the Gallade. The Torn is Boots. The Ogerpon is well, no, we know it's not Scarf at least. We know there's no Scarfers. And then we know that the Bronzong is Lefties. So we know he has no Choice Scarfer on his team, which means MANECTRIC outspeeds everything on the team. So this Pokemon just to come in, click a free Volt Switch, Thunderbolt, or Flamethrower, and then just immediately get out. So that is perfect for us. As we're going to end up Volt Switching right out into Scizor and see what he wants to do. As he is going to go for the Ivy Cudgel, does some good damage, which we don't like to see. He's then going to Spiky Shield as I just go for the Bullet Punch. I don't know why I didn't Terra Steel there, but I sure didn't. I probably should have. He's going to then bring in his Bronzong, as I'm assuming I go for Roost right here. No, I just BP. Okay. I'm not sure why I did that. But alright. I think now my play is to Terra Steel this turn. I think I saw he was Terra Fire, so maybe that's why. I don't know. I'm not sure why I ended up doing that. Probably should have Terra Steel, but whatevs. But now I can freely Terra Steel here, get a Roost off, as we see he is going to go for the Calm Mind. And immediately I'm like, uh-oh, that's probably not good. I don't really like that very much. But I am full HP now, so or at least close to it. So I'm just going to go for U-turn, get a little bit of chip off on this thing, bring in my Slowking here. and try and fish for either a burn or something to get this thing on a timer or something here. So he's going to keep healing himself thanks to his leftovers recovery. I'm going to go for the Scald. It does decent damage, a solid 16%, as he's going to get up to +2. And basically all I'm doing here is trying to fish for the burn to get rid of his leftovers, to negate those essentially, because I have Sneasler that can come in and revenge this thing if need be. And he actually Terra Fires. I'm not too sure why he did that when I had a water type out, but I'm sure it was a plan of all time. So now I'm going to go for Chili here, which I actually outsped him, which is kind of weird. I'm not sure how that ended up happening. I thought Chili was a negative priority, but I guess it's not. So I know Slowking is now faster than that thing, so that's pretty cool. I can bring in Kyurem right here and just fire off some big damage like a big Draco. But he is +3 SPDF, so it's going to do absolutely nothing, as you guys will see. Yeah, that did 25%. Yeah, that's not a lot. That's not a lot at all. And now I'm taking even more damage. He goes for the body press. Doesn't do a ton to me. He knows I'm bulky, especially because of the snow that's currently up. So I can just freely swap back into Slowking here. As he goes for the Psychic Noise, which is fine by me. I really don't care about that. I can just heal up later because I outspeed him anyway. And now that he's not a steel type anymore, I can just Toxic him, and now we're good. Because we've seen, he's got Calm Mind, Body Press, Psychic Noise, and whatever last is. If he was last move Rest, that could be a bit of annoying, but I don't believe he is last move Rest. I think his last move, I want to say, was Terra Blast for Scizor. I think I remember seeing that correctly. So no Rest is a bit of a lucky break, I'm not going to lie. But we do get the Toxic off on this thing, which is nice, as he's going to go for another Calm Mind right here. The Heal Block is going to wear off this next turn as well. And now, because I outspeed him, I can freely just slack off. And we've got the Toxic, putting him on a timer. He can Psychic Noise all he wants. Again, I'm physically defensive Slowking, so I'm going to be taking more than I might otherwise. But even still, like, Slowking kind of sits on this thing. Like, I can't heal next turn, so this turn I just Scald again. And that does 16%. Like, again, I'm not sure why Terra fired on a Water type, but whatever. As again, he's going to go for the Psychic Noise, but since I'm already heal blocked, it doesn't work that way, so I'm going to get that worn off next turn. And then I can just freely slack off again. Like, that's 1000% my play. So now I am back up to full HP with Slowking, essentially, because I'm at 99%, and then with leftovers, we're at full. So he's going to bring in this Demon right here, which I don't like to see very much. And immediately I'm just like, well, I think Kyurem's probably good to kind of take a dive here, because MANECTRIC already kind of wins. So I think Kyurem's gonna take a dive right here. As we see, he goes for the U-turn, KOs Kyurem, which does give me momentum. We also see that he is not heavy-duty boots on the Ogerpon. I don't know if I pointed that out before. So that is helpful because he is now also taking extra chip damage from rocks and stuff. Same with the Gallade. My switch into MANECTRIC is free here. There's not really anything that wants to take a Volt Switch. So he kind of has to either leave this in and take damage or swap into something else. And I don't think he really wants to do either of those things. But he ends up taking a solid 39% here. My switch in is 1000% my Slowking. I do not care. Do not care at all. He goes for CC. Only does 28%, but he is lowering his defense and SPDF, which is, again, what we want. And then he can easily just KO us next turn if he's got, like, Leaf Blade or something. As we see, he's got the knockoff. Just KOs me from 66% with a max physically defensive Slowking. Mega Blade is so stupid strong, dude. This thing hits like a truck. But Slowking might be down, but unfortunately, MANECTRIC just comes back in, and Thunderbolt is free. It kills from this range, so I have no reason not to go for it. But I think I end up going for Volt Switch to preserve momentum. No, I do go for T-Bolt. Okay. So now I get big damage off on that guy. He brings in the Ogerpon right here. I know this thing is weakened. It is very, very hurting. My obvious play here is to click Volt Switch. I know I outspeed him. So we do. Takes another 20%. And now Flamethrower KOs. Scizor comes back in. He's going to Horn Leech me. Does nothing. He gets some HP back, but he's taking more damage thanks to Rocky Helmet than he's getting back from healing through Horn Leech. So honestly, Scizor wins this 1v1. I wanted to click Roost right here because I'm assuming he's going to Spiky Shield. But he actually ends up switching out. And I do end up clicking Roost. So I did try to predict that. So it ended up not working out too great for me, but I think it's fine. The Torn comes in here. Terra Steel Bullet Punch is a 2-shot. Even though I have no physical attack investment whatsoever. So that did a solid 45% of that thing, and I have no physical attack investment at all. So that's pretty solid. That's some pretty solid damage. And we see he's actually going to go ahead and go for the Heat Wave. Does good damage, but unfortunately for him, another Bullet Punch takes him out. So, like, I think my play here 1000% is just to U-turn. So I got a little bit ballsy there. I got a little bit ballsy, I'm not gonna lie. I did. But I think it didn't matter because no matter what, MANECTRIC just wins. But I think that was, like, my play, because there's no way he wants to stay in there. He needs Torn. He needs Torn for Sneasler. He needs it. Otherwise, Sneasler outspeeds his entire team. So he desperately needs the Torn for Sneasler. So I was like, he can't sack this. He physically can't. I'm free to U-turn here. I kind of wish I would have roosted maybe a little bit more, but it ended up working out okay, because now I get a free switch into MANECTRIC again, and there is no reason to just drop that Thunderbolt, baby. Drop that Thunderbolt. Hey, let's go. The Gallade comes back in. My play is Volt Switch, guys. Like, I don't know what else to say. I Volt Switch out, and now Gallade's on 8%. It can't really switch back in again. I go Scizor, I sack it, because it will die to Rocky Helmet. And then, again, like, I'm just like, well, MANECTRIC kind of wins, so let's just let's chill on this for a second. Instead of letting MANECTRIC get these last 2 kills, let's see if we can get Sneasler a little bit up the kill board, shall we? Let's see if we can keep Sneasler in the top 3 of kills. Why not? We know MANECTRIC just wins. This dies to Thunderbolt. This dies to Flamethrower or Thunderbolt. It doesn't have priority. We've seen his whole moveset. There's no way I can lose this battle unless I get Super Mega Ultra Critted, which isn't the mechanic in the game. So we're chilling. So I'm just like, I'll just see if I can get Sneasler an extra couple of KOs, keep it on the leaderboard, all that cool stuff. He goes for Bleak Windstorm and misses. Unfortunate. I'm sorry. That is very unfortunate. I think he was very upset about that. Unfortunately, I don't think it matters because no matter what, MANECTRIC just wins. But it is a little bit more dicey now. Or it is still like a kind of like a kick to the shin on his part, unfortunately. But no matter what, even if that hit, I'm pretty sure we still win with MANECTRIC, because Thunderbolt KOs this thing, and then Flamethrower KOs this thing. But now Choice Band and Sneasler just gonna click Poison Jab twice, KO the Torn T, and then the Ogerpon's gonna come out, live on 2, thanks for Stealth Rock. Was it huge? I feel like it wasn't, because MANECTRIC just wins. He's not AV. Like, I don't think that's huge. Fitting for Torn, like, yeah, I'm sorry you missed your movement, but I really don't think it mattered. I'm pretty sure MANECTRIC's still O-code anyway, so I don't think it mattered very much. It's still a shame that it had to happen that way, but I'm pretty sure it didn't matter. Even if you were like max HP, max PDF, I'm pretty sure Mega MANECTRIC Thunderbolt still did 72%. So I think we're chilling. But it is frustrating. I know Mudkip has had some really unfortunate luck this season. I think this might just be the boiling point for them, which is very unfortunate to see. But they're going to bring in the Ogerpon here just to get Poison Jabbed. And your Arcanine Pokemon Club, your Arcanine PC, are going to pick out that hashtag Dubski, baby. Moving to 5-2 on the season. Keeping ourselves locked up as the 3rd seed for the moment in the league. Last week of the regular season will be next week. We have basically locked up a playoff spot. There's like 1 or 2 scenarios where maybe we don't get in. But I think, actually, no. I'm pretty sure, like, the lowest a team could be and make playoffs is 4-4, and the lowest we could be is 5-3. So I'm pretty sure we guarantee make playoffs. So your Washington, I almost called it Washington Woobat. Your Arcanine Pokemon Club are going to lock up that playoff spot, stay nice and high up in the rankings as well. I believe we are currently in 3rd place. Move to 5-2 on the season. GG's to Mudkip. Let me know what you guys saw of the battle down in the comments. Make sure to let me know what you think of the team. How do you think I played? All that cool stuff. I'll see you guys back here next week for Week 8, the final week of the regular season of the NBA. Your Arcanine Pokemon Club moved to 5-2 on the season, picking up that dub. And yeah, it was just I think I played my my plan to fruition there, which is always a positive thing to see. So I'll gladly take that. Yeah, let me know what you guys thought of the battle in the comments. Also, leave a like on this battle. It helps me out a ton, helps new people see the content who might be interested. And maybe your like is the reason that YouTube pushes the content out to them. Also, definitely subscribe if you're new around here. We're on our way to 600 subs. That's my goal for the year. Really appreciate if you could help me hit that. We are currently, at the time of this recording, around like 520-something. So I'd really appreciate if you could help give me that little bit of a boost there. We're about almost halfway through the year, so really mean a lot to me to help me kind of get there, especially if you enjoy the content. So it's free. You can take it back whenever you want, all that cool stuff. That's all I got for you guys this week. I will catch you all next week for the final battle of the regular season in the NBA. And yeah, we'll be back here next week with that. Until then, though, I will leave you guys with this. Peace.